Okay. So just being aware of that circle of light, and just imagine it like a golden circle of light, and around the edge, just imagine that walls rise up, and they're like golden white. And they rise up probably a bit taller than you are. So maybe about 6 feet. That would get everybody in, I reckon. I want you just to gently just breathe through your body. So just being conscious of your breath as it comes in and out of your body. And you just notice that if you've got no focused attention for the release of the breath, just notice what that feels like. And I want you to bring your focus into the ajna. So imagine that as you breathe out, the energy comes out of the ajna chakra in the center of your head, between the eyebrows. And then just to get an idea of the difference of when you're not focusing, just relax and let the breath come out wherever it comes out. And then just gently begin to use your focus again, but this time focus in your navel area. And focus on the out breath coming out through the navel. Let your breath focus on, as you breathe in, that you're in the top of your crown chakra. And then just be aware of the little pause in between the in and the out breath, and breathe out through the navel. Just to notice, after a few deep breaths into your navel, what it feels like. You might find that you come lower down in your navel into your sacral area or your base. Any of those parts is fine. But in that lower part of the body. And what this does, and especially for women, is it helps us to feel safer inside our bodies. And because we have a voidal space inside our bodies and men don't, it's a different thing for women than it is to men. It's a very different energetically in that lower part of the hip region, very different indeed. So men have no void and women do, and that void has a tendency to want to be filled with something. Now, the best thing it can be filled with is your energy and divine energy. But very often what happens when we're not completely whole and complete, and there are very few people on the earth that are completely whole and complete, is that it gets filled sometimes with other people's energies. It gets filled with fears and worries and anxiousness. And that energy then it can sit there and it can sort of radiate in a way in our body energetically, and it can cause us confusion and anxiousness. And sometimes it can cause us excessive anxiousness, which would often be called stress. But in my experience with stress and anxiety, I actually find that they're two different things, and that stress is often quite easy to pick because you get like into an elevated state of stressness, and anxiety can be harder because it can be very low lying, and it can go on for a long period of time without us knowing that it's kind of playing out in the background. So just being aware of that. And I was aware recently, a friend of mine were having a discussion about how when women reach menopause, and I know that's not true for some of you yet, but I'm past menopause, that being anxious is often associated with menopause. And I find that really fascinating because my mum, when she was in menopause, was just absolutely a wreck with anxiety. And then it passed, and she sort of had a bit of a residue of how long it had taken her with the anxiety. But it went on for, I would say, for 6 or 7 years with my mum. And she got to the point where she couldn't cook for anybody. It produced so much anxiety to even, like make a meal for somebody else. It was that high anxiety. Anyway, just allowing yourself to just be aware of anxiety. So anxiety is normal in a certain proportion. And then anxiety can get out of proportion. And for women, we often get out of proportion with family matters and emotional stuff. And for men, they often get out of evenness, out of balance with work and busyness. So we all do it. We just sometimes can have like a different area that's kind of like our Achilles heel of anxiety, if you like. One of the causes, one of the ones that can be like an underlying cause that you might not be aware of on the surface, but certainly can be an underlying cause, is that not feeling safe. And that's a very common thing for women to not feel safe. The world has not always, and still isn't, a safe place for women. And of course, now with the coronavirus, a lot more people are having that anxiety being increased because we don't know the outcome of this. We don't know how safe we are. We don't know how congruent we're going to be with the coronavirus. So I'm actually going to, this might sound strange, but it's not going to do us any harm. I'm going to call on Mother Kali, and I'm just going to be having awareness around the coronavirus. You know how we keep seeing that visual of that little ball with little spikes on it. So we're not inviting coronavirus into our system, obviously, but we are just kind of having an awareness that coronavirus is existing in the world, and that the graphic we have is that little funny circly ball with little threads coming off it. So just being aware of your loved ones and any fears that you might have around your loved ones and the coronavirus, and just invite that in, the energy of your loved ones here as well. Just knowing that because you're the one that's here, you're the one that's kind of like the forerunner for your family. And sometimes we don't realize that, and we think we're only working on our own stuff. And in actual fact, we're working on deep ancestral things. And something called epigenetics, which you might have heard me talk about before, which is kind of like the scarring that occurs on the DNA. It doesn't alter the DNA, but it does carry the scarring forward. So I've just been aware of that. That's good. Nice. Just being aware of your focus. And if you need to, come back to the breath first and then bring your focus into bear again. Right, just start focusing in the Ajna chakra again. And just being aware that the Ajna chakra is the master chakra. And what that means is that it has an awareness within itself of everything that's going on within you on all levels. So conscious and unconscious. The Ajna chakra is kind of like the ultimate brain piece, if you like. It's the part that can, if you say search to the Ajna chakra, it will look for whatever it is you're searching for. So you could say search for fear. You could say search for anxiousness. So just let yourself just have a little play with that. Just testing your own instincts and intuitive process. Let's have a little search for something that might be troubling you. That's it. Just keep focusing. You're all doing really well. The Ajna chakras are all kind of having a look around. Is sort of it's a funny thing, but it's the way that it works. I want you to think about, if you were to specifically be working on something today, what would you say to your Ajna chakra? What would you ask your Ajna chakra? So you might want to look at like things like cellular memory of, things that cause you trouble in any way, like competitiveness might be a thing, or abandonment might be a thing. And just know that whatever you kind of come up with is absolutely 100% right for you. You can do it. It's your consciousness. You have your own map of the world. That's it. Just keep searching. There's some surface stuff coming and there's some deeper stuff also coming. So you might be able to think about the surface stuff and the deeper stuff is coming behind it. So just allowing, keep your focus in the Ajna chakra, and the Ajna chakra will naturally start to look for that. And it's a funny thing with the mind. We often think, I'm talking out loud, but you'd find, and I'm sure you've had this experience where somebody will say to you, like somebody says to you, what are you thinking? And I'll explain to them what I'm thinking, and what I thought about in like a nanosecond can take me like 5 minutes to explain. And that's because the speed of the inner world is very different to the speed of the outer world. So we almost even don't have to get to the full thought. Just having like even the slightest inclination towards something is often enough for the Ajna chakra. It will gather the evidence that it needs of what it's looking for. So just trusting that, trusting that it's the speed of light. It's kind of like if you went in or into a shop and you were ordering, let's say, a salad, it's kind of like you would be saying, can I have a salad? 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 And we don't need to do that when we go into a shop, and we don't need to do it with our Ajna chakra either. If we just have that even lightning thought of abandonment, belonging, competition, that's way more than enough. The Ajna chakra will automatically find what it is that you've accessed. You don't have to keep ordering the same meal, if you like, the same thing. It's already taken the order. Just trust in that. It's a good thing to understand that. And just being aware of any repetitive practice that you do of mantra. And just let yourself just be aware of any mantra. So I have a number of mantras. My main mantra that I rest in is the Gayatri mantra. And the mantra that I most consciously often chant is Om Namo Narayani. So that means if I'm thinking something and I'm kind of not happy with what I'm thinking, I'll go Om Namo Narayani. But if I just kind of I'm resting and I'm not really thinking much, I'll hear the Gayatri mantra playing in the background. Kind of like the song of my life is like the background is the Gayatri mantra, calling in the light. That's good. That's really good. So I'm pretty sure you all know some of those chants, but if you don't, then just think the Om Namo Narayani one. Just let your body relax. Just being aware of this time on Sunday morning, the sun's shining, the waves are crashing on the beaches. We live in this beautiful land of Australia with all of its sunshine and all of its magnificence. Just being aware of the trees. Some of you know that Sandy and I bought a caravan last year, and it is surrounded by literally tens of thousands of trees. And we live in an area near a golf course, and there's also a lot of trees. But just be aware of the energy of trees, and particularly any trees that are near you. And just being aware of the efficacy of trees, the natural power to take in the carbon dioxide and release the oxygen that we breathe, and the balance of this. Just focus on the trees for a bit. Just think of all of the parts of the tree, the trunk of the tree, the branches of the tree, the very crown of the tree, part that reaches up towards the sun. And then be aware in the lower part of your body, in the sixth chakra. Just be aware of your legs, And be aware of the tree again. Just be aware of the tree sitting on the ground, as it were. And it anchors into the ground through a huge root system. Imagine a really big tree like a Moreton Bay fig. And then just be aware of those huge roots that they put out. Just feel yourself growing roots like a tree, like a Moreton Bay fig. And being aware that trees, especially in forests, reach out to other trees with their root systems. And in some ways, they actually communicate. And they've done scientific studies on this, that trees communicate. So just being aware of the trees, being aware of the root system. Just being aware of all of our root systems being together, entangled, as it were. And just being aware again of your entanglement with your family, entangled roots. And just being aware of the country that you were born in, if it's not Australia. And if it is Australia, just go deeper. If it's not Australia, then put your roots from your country of origin, bring those roots here out through to your feet. Really expand your root system so that your root system is really secure and stable. Being aware of the long roots and then the shorter roots that just kind of stabilize the tree. Being aware of how trees sometimes grow on the side of hills and they extend in different directions to root themselves more securely to the ground. And then just be aware of the fairy realms. It's very rare to get visits from the fairy realms. So just let yourself just be in appreciation of the fairy realms. And just being aware of the fairy realms. And when we say realms, it's a funny thing sometimes, you know, our conscious minds can sometimes struggle a bit with that. But there are elementals, elemental kingdoms that look after plants. And they are fairies. They're like fairies as we see fairies in folklore. Just being aware of yourself as that Moreton Bay fig, and just being aware of all of the tending of the elementals, allowing you to, they're sort of cleaning is what they're doing. If you know, so you know, if you were weeding your garden, that's kind of what they're doing, like weeding the garden, but they're weeding the structure that we are, both mentally, emotionally, and physically. So most often we are concerned with our physical beingness or our emotional beingness or our mindfulness. They're concerned with all three and they're cleaning all three. Let yourself just open into that, the possibility of that wild thing of a fairy realm. So, different countries have different sort of balances of the elementals. So there are fire elementals, air elementals, water elementals, and of course, earth elementals. In Australia, the fire elemental, which is called an undine, is a different kind of creature than what I grew up with in Scotland, which is more filled with water elementals. And just being aware that this elemental nature exists within us, within our physical bodies. We have a composition of fire, earth, air, and water, and ether, which is our spirit in the body. Let your body take some nice deep breaths. Feel your energy coming into your belly. And just let yourself feel gratitude for your connection with your own body. Just being aware of the nature of anxiety, which is both a chemical imbalance, the chemistry in the body gets messed with, and it's also a mind issue. Just breathing in through the crown out of the ajna. And let yourself just focus on the sound of my voice and just the energy of sort of gentleness, allowing yourself to just feel gentleness for yourself on all levels, calling on the Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, our souls and our divine selves, all and beloved Sri Shakti Narayani Amma, and all of the great ones who love us unconditionally. Call on our teams of guides, teachers and friends in the spiritual hierarchy who love each one of us unconditionally. We ask that we be clear channels for divine light, divine love, and divine power. We ask for assistance with working with all of the elements of nature. We ask this in full faith, through the divine grace, so be it. Breathe it in through the crown and release out of the ajna. Just be aware again of the difference it makes when you focus on where you release your breath. I want you to breathe in through the crown and imagine that the energy from coming in through the crown is just moving sort of step by step down your spine. Like your fingers were just moving and about an inch at a time coming down the spine. And just releasing through the base when you get there. When you get to just carry on with that, just bringing the energy in through the crown and down the spine and releasing it out through the spine and the base. I'm just going to play an Om. As the Om begins, bring it in through the crown. As it releases, release it through the base. You might need 2 breaths. Let yourself become rhythmic. Focus on the energy releasing through the base. Might move to this 6th area. And just repeat after me. This might sound like a strange word, but just repeat after me. I now command that all energy and all negative energy of gloating leave my body, mind, and energy field now. through the divine grace, so be it. And breathe in through the crown and release out through the base of the spine. And breathe in again through the crown and release through the sacral area. And just being aware of also the energy of gluttony, of taking too much of something, including behaviors that you might have done excessively. So sometimes we can go into emotional behaviors and it can become excessive. So gluttony in all of its forms. So just being aware of that, that too much of even a good thing can be bad for you. Just being aware of that. So sometimes focusing on an area of your life that is difficult can actually cause that area of life to become bigger and more energized. And sometimes it's kind of not really what we want, but it's like we can't help it. So even that is a form of sort of gluttonous thinking, like thinking that we're a terrible person, or that we've gotten things wrong, or that we've made horrendous mistakes that are unfixable. These things are not the divine nature. Just being aware of any place where you feel like you've maybe been excessive, you might have worried excessively, you might have focused excessively. And it might be in a relationship, it might be with a person. What's coming up for me is my relationship with my father, where I've been overly focused on all of these bad points. I'll just be honest about that there. Just being aware of any place where you might, and I share that not to guide you towards your father, but to help you to understand. Just let your consciousness show to you what it is you're looking at, what it is you're working on. And often gluttony is it's quite associated with addiction in a way, where we want too much of something. And again, this can be, it can be anything. It can be cigarette smoking, it can be alcohol, but it can also be behaviors. Just let that awareness come through. And often we'll use these kinds of addiction to calm ourselves down. So my go-to is always eating or overeating. So, and again, I'm not saying that to criticize myself. I just know where my addiction is, And that's my tool, my strategy to calm me down very quickly. So it helps bring a form of sort of pseudo peace. That's it. So just being aware of any addiction. You might be addicted to thinking or stressing or worrying. And breathe in through the crown, release through the Ajna chakra. We'll just have a little bit more Oms. Keeping the Ajna this time. Focus in the Ajna. Focus on any addiction and it will rise, it will reveal itself to you. I can feel within me an addiction to always trying to please everybody else and not considering myself. So having myself out of the equation of my own life. Now, obviously, that's not a good addiction to have. So just be aware that these addictions can be very varied. Go back to the Oms. Stay in the Ajna. Just staying in the Ajna and just being aware of my Ajna chakra. And I'm just going to send some energy from my Ajna chakra to your Ajna chakra. And just being aware of my spiritual name, Ananda Maya. And the Maya part being that ability to see beyond what usually other people can see. I'm just going to do this individually, which since it's such a small group, it's very doable. So Bini, I'm going to get you to focus first, just in your Ajna chakra. And just imagine that our Ajna chakras could connect. The Ajna chakra sometimes looks like a horn, like a unicorn horn. It's actually the chakra above that, but let's not get really picky about it. Just imagine that the horn could connect. And you just imagine a unicorn, in fact, and just imagine that the unicorn points its head down and that the unicorn horn connects with the horn from your Ajna chakra. Everybody's Ajna chakra will be different sizes. So just focusing on your own Ajna chakra and just above it, the forehead chakra. Just imagine that a beautiful unicorn was kind of tipping his head down and connection with your Ajna chakra and sort of, you might even sort of run around a few times, like circles around the horn, and you might go in either direction, you might go across, but kind of like the kissing, like the unicorn, the horn from the unicorn is kind of touching into the horn on your forehead. That's good, Beanie. And just allow it when it connects to just like, it's like I don't know, it's like magic. I don't know how else to describe it. Just sounds like a wave of energy into your consciousness that allows your consciousness to awaken more to where you might have these things that you might not be aware of. That you might be addicted to negative thinking, or you might be addicted to avoiding. Might be, there's so many different millions and squillions of addictions for us to choose from. And then Karen, just being aware in your Ajna chakra, and just above it in the Ajna, in the forehead chakra. And just imagine that unicorn bending down and actually touching us like a flash of energy as the unicorn touches its horn to you. That's it. And then Gauriananda. So just let the unicorn horns touch. That's it. And let the energy flood through you. Beautiful. And then Sandy. And then just relax. And just let that activation in your Ajna and in the forehead chakra, let it just take place. That's good. This activation will help you to see things more clearly over the next few days and months, really. You might start to have a different view of your mental mindset. I'll just have a few more Oms. Focus on the forehead and the Ajna. Focus. Bring your energy to bear. Focus with the Om in the forehead and Ajna. And this time, breathe the Om in through the ajna and just let it move through your body in its own conscious way. Just notice whether it's going up or down or out. Excellent. Well done. Now I want you to use your focus this time, and I want you to bring it in through the ajna and out through the heart front. In through the ajna, through the heart, and bring the energy down towards the base, that mixed energy of heart and head energy, heart and spirit. Good, good, good. Let it go down your legs like tree trunks and into the earth and through that whole root system. Breathing simultaneously through the crown and the ajna and bring it down to the base. Nice. Well done, everybody. Very well done. Just being aware of that, breathing in through the crown and the ajna, down through the body and out through the base. And then being aware in the base and take the energy down your tree trunk legs, down and into the earth, being aware of your feet and the root system from your base and your feet. Thinking of that Moreton Bay fig and being aware of that extensive root system that you're building for this incarnation on the earth. And knowing that when you leave your body, your energy will automatically lift from the earth and go back to the seeds of consciousness. Whilst we're here on the earth, it's so important to be practical and grounded and not spend all our time in our heads and thinking and worrying and fearing things. The solution to all of that is to be more in the body and more connected with nature and with the earth. Breathing down again. Nice. Let yourself, let your consciousness expand. So just pull in all of the divine energy. Imagine that you were in the nighttime sky and amongst the stars. And you suddenly notice the earth and the moon. You think, wow, what a place. You automatically extend some of your energy to the moon. As you land on the moon, you're sort of spying down on the earth, sort of in a hidden way, observing all of the actions and the nature of the earth itself. The sound that the earth makes, which is the sound of Om. Just being aware of all of the people and all of the different parts of the earth. Being aware of the depth of the oceans and the water that covers the earth. Being aware of that elemental water. Be aware of your body and the elemental water when we cry. Where's that water coming from? It's being aware of the element of water in the body. And being aware of yourself on the moon, still in sort of a hidden position. Looking down at the earth and be aware of all of the greenery, all of the trees. Just being aware as you focus on the trees and the element of air. And just being aware of the lungs and the bronchioli of the lungs, which are the transmission stations where the oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange. It's like upside down broccoli, truthfully. It's like you were holding a branch of broccoli upside down. And those little tiny parts of the broccoli, the little green delicious bits, if you like broccoli, obviously, they're the bits that we're looking at. They're the bits where the transfer occurs. And that's just thinking of them like those upside down broccoli, like upside down trees, and the element of air. And just being aware of the earth, and imagine it as if there was no water on the earth, that we could see all of the inside of the oceans. We could see the arid deserts. We could see all of the land masses. We could see the heights and irregularities of the surface of the earth, and be aware of the element of earth. And then just being aware of the two things. First of all, the very center of the earth, the element of fire. And just tune into that deep inner fire. In our body, the fire is held in the solar plexus region. It's the, if you like, it's sort of the transformational area. So focus in the solar plexus for a moment or two. Imagine that there was a column running through the center of your body, and then there was a chakra from the front and the back. Just allow yourself to go right into the core of the solar plexus. And imagine there like a small ball of sunlight or fire energy. And just let that energy burn. Sometimes when we are overly critical, or we're being judgmental, or we've got serious mind addictions, or whatever we've got going on, the energy of fire in the body can become dampened. Just being aware of something, it's just above the heart. It's called the triple warmer. Just being aware of that. It's like a gland in the body. It's above the heart, sort of. Yeah, just intend that you can find it, and just being aware of it. It's part of the heart system. Just focus on it for a bit longer. And just allow it to become kind of, you know, if you had a fire that was going out and you put on some really dry wood, it would ignite. Just being aware of that, like very dry tinder being put onto the fire. It really ignites the flames of your heart. Really ignites that triple warmer in the body. It adjusts the temperature is one of its jobs in the body. So let the fire burn. And just being aware of the fire energy. Emotionally, the energy that's most often associated with fire is anger. So just being aware of any place you've been angry. And just focus on the triple warmer at the same time. It's just towards the top of the heart. Just trust that you've got it. You don't need to find it. I studied it years ago and I can barely remember where it is. So just allow towards the top of the heart. That's it. And then being aware of the upside down broccoli or trees and the air element. And imagine that as you breathe in, it flames the fire. The very old fashioned fires, they used to use bellows to flame the fire. Just in your lungs are those bellows that flame the fire. Your breath. It's nice, that's good. That's it. Just keep going with that. The breath and the fire together. The breath igniting more fire. Again. Lovely. Very good. And just be aware of something that you're passionate about. Something that you've loved in your life. It might be a person, but it might be also, like, I love interior design. I love it. So And I love people. I love working with people. So let's focus on what you love. You know, I know Gauri Ananda has a massive love for children. So focus on something that you love. Karen loves exercise. Things that you're passionate about that ignite your fire within. That's it. Sandy was very passionate about football and still is. And Beanie, unfortunately, I don't know enough about your actual life to know what would be yours, but I'm sure you know what's your passions. Nature, I think, comes through quite strongly there. So being aware of the rivers and the mountains and the big nature, like the tops of mountains, that kind of thing. Bringing it in, bringing it in. I just like that energy just expand in this ignited fire within you. And just know you as this. This is you. Igniting the fire, the air, the breath. And we're going to listen to a song called This Is Me. This is an unusual song to be playing in a satsang, but we're going to listen to it anyway. I want you to stay really focused on this ignited fire within you. This that you already are, without any masks, without any niceness or politeness. It's the fiery self within.
I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away,
Stay in the fire.
no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Another round of bullets hits my skin. Well, fire away, 'cause today I won't let the pain sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors. That's what we become. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us. Oh, we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. gonna send a flood, gonna drown a mind. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be.
This is me. And take a big breath in. And pull the energy down and into you. And just be aware of yourself as you really are, with all of the bits that you know about yourself that you don't tell other people. All of the bits about you. And just feel your own strength. And then just let yourself feel the strength that I have for you. That if I could help you, I would. And it's my desire and my intention that you be helped. It's my desire, my intention that any energy that isn't leaving, that's done and dusted, my intention is that it move, that it leave you now. And if that's your intention, then breathe into your crown, release through your heart. Sometimes when we get troubled by things, we close down different energetic parts of ourselves. When we're not congruent, when we know we're slightly off kilter, that something's not quite right, breathe in through the crown, release through the heart, and let your authenticity, the strength of who you are, without any masks, without any faces, without any niceties, who you are in your core, the wild one, the warrior one, the non-compromised one. Let that part of you feed and be fed and nourished and accepted and respected and valued. Let that energy come through you. It's already there. Just let it ignite. That flame, that fire, the passions. That's good. That's good. That's good. Keep the heart moving. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bless you individually. Just let yourself just be open to receiving. Just being aware of the act of receiving. That part of you that is that authentic self, the wild one. It's also the calm one. It's all different, has so many different parts. But the wild one's the one we want today. The one that's been unallowed, unseen, unheard, not allowed to speak up. We have a whole pandemic of not speaking up enough going on at the moment. Just let your warrior within, let that warrior come through. In your mind's eye, visualize what you would look like as a warrior. What would you be wearing? What would you look like? What would your hair be like? What would you be doing? What would you be saying or shouting or squealing or screaming? Really get a good picture of your warrior. This part of you that won't compromise, that knows her right from her wrong or his right from his wrong. That knows, just knows. Nobody has to tell you if it's right for you, if it's wrong for you. How could anybody else know better than you what's right for you, what's not right for you? Just being aware of anybody that where you've ever felt that, where you've felt compromised between your own knowing and somebody else's. Take a big breath in, hold that energy in your heart. Just imagine that your warrior holds some kind of staff, like a big stick, upright. And as you bring that energy in, just stamp the staff on the ground. No more. No more can anybody else tell you what's right for you. Nobody knows better than you. How could they? They couldn't possibly. They could not possibly know. Trust your instinct, your gut, your heart, your compassion. A bit more. Stamp the staff again if you need to. Wild, the wild, wild one within you. I'm just going to find some music to do the blessings with. So Beanie, I'll start with you. So just being receptive and pulling the blessing energy into you. For all that you are, all that you be, all of your strengths, your weaknesses. Pull the blessing in, Beanie.
That exists with us and around us, where angels sing on rays of light, on rays of light, and love pours forth, love pours forth, love pours forth from the heart of the universe.
And now Karen, pull the blessing in. Beanie, integrate.
There is a space that exists with us and around us, where angels sing on rays of light, on rays of light, and love pours forth, love pours forth, love pours forth from the heart of the universe.
And Sandy, Karen, integrate. And Gauri Ananda, Sandy, integrate. Gauri Ananda, open to receiving more.
There is a space that exists with us and around us, universe.
That Ajna chakra begin to seal everybody.
From the heart of the universe.
Feel the energy softening.
From the heart of the universe.
Sealing.
From the heart of the universe.
Be aware of the warrior. Let them receive blessings within you. There is Just take a deep breath in. Just release everywhere. Bring your attention into your Ajna chakra. Be aware of this place. And just being aware in the center of the head, in the pineal gland. Be aware in the heart. So when listen to that last piece of song, stay in the pineal and in the heart. And if you can focus on three things, if you can only do two, do those two. If you can focus on three, then also just be aware in the hara, in the center of the, underneath the navel.
a space that exists with us and around us, where angels sing on rays of light, on rays of light, and love pours forth, love pours forth, love pours forth from the heart of the universe.
In the heart now.
From the heart of the universe. From the heart of the universe. From the heart of the universe.
Coming down to the hara, underneath the navel.
From the heart of the universe.
Just being aware inside yourself, how you're feeling. And I want you with 2 fingers of your left hand, the one that you point with and the one next to it. I want you just to take the 2 fingers of your left hand and close your thumb and your 4 fingers. I want you to place them in your Ajna chakra and lift your elbow right up so that you're sort of directly touching or pointing into your Ajna chakra. And just open your right hand as if you're holding a ball or a sphere. And I want you just to hold the ball in the right hand and bless the Ajna chakra and being aware of your own power to bless. And just hold in this position, blessing yourself for all that you are, all that you be, all of that fiery energy and the ignition of that fiery energy. And breathe in through the ajna and then just release the left hand, bring it down so both hands are facing upwards. And just being aware of your loved ones. Let's bring them into your mind and your heart. So partners, children, parents, other people that you love and adore. I want you to hold all of your energy for you. You're not going to be giving them any of your energy. Just holding all of your energy. Those that have departed, passed over, gone on to different realms. And just being aware of the veils between worlds that keep our loved ones from us, but not really, because they're always in our heart. And the heart dimension can just easily, instantly jot across that. So, I want you to raise both hands and turn your palms facing outwards. Imagine that we're standing in a circle and the earth is in front of us, a bit like maybe the size of a watermelon, and that it's sort of suspended in the air in front of us. We're standing in a circle and just sending blessings of love to the earth. And imagine that you can spin the earth the way you want to spin it to bless your loved ones. So you might have loved ones in other places, like loved ones in Scotland, loved ones in wherever it is for you. And even different towns in Australia. And even people that are close by, like I was talking at the beginning about not seeing my son for nearly 2 months. He only lives in Denali. It's around the corner from me. Sending love around the earth first, and then go to specific loved ones. And just being aware of your love for these people, your close ones. And for just a little bit of time, so we're only going to do it for about 5 to 10 seconds, I want you just to think of any past loved ones, previous relationships. Just gently and quickly, just send love to them that you learned, whatever you learned. And then just send it, and then just touch your left fingers to your heart, and then start to just come back into the present and sending the energy to all of your current loved ones. And we ask the energy be sent through all time, space, lifetimes, and all dimensions to all of our loved ones. I ask that all of the people who have ever been clients or students of mine in any capacity be blessed. That all the people who have ever come to Sydney South, past, present, future, be blessed. I ask that all of our families be blessed with loving kindness, compassion, and mercy. That we be blessed with clarity. So, that's it. Good. And then just place your hands down when you feel ready to. And this time with the left hand, as if imagine that there's a ball, a sphere of crystal in the left hand, and raise your right hand and just send loving energy to the Earth Mother herself, to Gaia, to the trees, the vegetation, all of the animals and insects, all of Mother Earth, all of the things that we don't know about. And sending gentle love to Mother Earth, and Mother Earth will prevail. just going to finish with one last one, if I can find it. Give thanks to the Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, our souls, our divine sons. We give thanks for each other. And breathe in, pull the energy into you. Let yourself start to wiggle and move your shoulders, move your toes, as we give thanks to the Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, our souls and our divine selves. We give thanks for each other. We give thanks for these beautiful meditations that come through and for all of the assistance that we've received. We ask that we each continue to be blessed with all that we need, all that we want, all that we require and desire. May we have lives of great fruitfulness, and may we be of assistance to each other in all capacities for all of the human race. We ask this in full faith. Through the divine grace, so be it. Om Namo Narayana. And coming back when you're ready. When you come back, just put your camera on if you wouldn't mind. I'm just going to stop the recording now.